Week 15 edition of the PFF forecast. It is December 18th. We have a great show. We're going to do a little risers and fallers. 3 big risers, 3 fallers we'll discuss. And then we're going to guess the week 16 lines with Arjun and Ben and, of course, Brad. It's going to be a great show. Let's rock. An incredible Sunday night game. Highest graded players of the game, the referees, who managed to get us out of here without overtime. It was 2018. You're like, this is going to go to overtime. We're going to have to watch this entire overtime. It's going to be, it's going to be another hour until we get on this podcast. And they got it done for us. So good for them. They also got me a W here, which I needed. So it was a good week for the Sunday podcast. I actually don't know. Brad, do we have a loss?
I have one loss. I think it's the only loss of 15 bets between the 3 of us. So
yeah. So we're riding high. Ben, how did your Sunday of betting go?
It went better than the Saturday, I would say, for sure. But yeah, I had some Giants, thankfully. The Bengals, I would say, was maybe the most miraculous cover that I've been on the right side of so far this season. So I'll definitely take that one as well. Our Lions, I mean, I think the rumor is it's definitely been restored. So I'm pretty pleased, I would say, at least with the Sunday performance that we had coming out of this podcast.
Yeah, the Giants Commanders one, I felt good about. Like, sometimes you have these bets, like the Bengals is a good example, right? It was like we wrote up the Bengals as one of the bets that we wrote up after last Sunday. And like, we might talk about this here in a second, but they covered. I don't know how, legit you feel about the process there after watching that game. But the Giants Commanders, like, the whole thing there was Taylor Heineke has like a 49 PFF grade. Daniel Jones, everyone hates on him. But he's better than that. Like, he's better than Taylor freaking Heineke. And, that was a handicap that ended up playing out. 4.5 was too many points to be giving. Brian Dable. We've talked about a lot of things. There are a lot of crazy things happened this weekend. Brian Dable dressing like that for the Sunday Night Football game. I mean, it's not Argentina winning the World Cup. It was pretty good. We're going to do risers and fallers. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to each give our biggest riser for the week. And then our biggest follower. So let's start with you, Ben. Biggest riser from week 15.
I was hoping I would be like last in this scenario, and I was going to make sure that you guys at least brought up the Minnesota Vikings performance on Saturday. But it's got to be Kirk Cousins, at least maybe not in primetime spots, but at least in the island game spots. And I do think that, even with the loss last week against Detroit, like the Vikings have, I would say, very much figured it out offensively, especially passing the football with Justin Jefferson in the fold. And I think that at least, they went 1-1 in these games. They very much probably should be 0-2 in them. But I think at least from, where I would rank them as far as like where they're probably going to finish in the NFC here come playoff time, like I'm probably more optimistic about them given what they had to endure on Saturday, and given like the way in which they kind of came back and the way in which they arrived at that victory. So hats off to, I would say, Kirk O'Chains, I think his nickname is, but I think that he is, since neither of you two would have brought it up, I think he's got to be my biggest riser here coming out of week 15.
Yeah, that's fair. The picture of the little kid wearing the chains was pretty good. That also has to be like the first time that Kirk has ever done anything impressive in quote unquote prime time, right? Like,
right.
Very,
in an island game setting, it's a sample size of 1. We hit it. It might not get any better than this, so that's why I at least have to mention. I know there was probably other more worthy candidates for my biggest riser out of week 15, but my loyalty runs, purple deep, I would say, at this point. So I'm sorry, guys, turning this into a Vikings podcast right now.
It's okay. We forgive you. I'll go next. So I actually had 3 that I was debating between. I'll just tell you what the 3 were, so people know. The first was the Lions, but I felt that was a little cliche. Like, yeah, of course. And here's the other thing. It's going to be my faller is the team that they played. So it didn't feel like the right time to mention the Lions right now. So I'm not going to shout out to our good friend, Dave Solfaro. The Lions, the roar is being restored, but it's not because they beat Zach Wilson and the Jets. Kyle Shanahan, I think the coach of the year conversation is like, oh, for sure it's going to be Nick Sirianni. Kyle Shanahan is wiping the floor with teams with a guy that was the last pick in the NFL draft after spending multiple first-round picks on a quarterback that isn't playing, and then his next quarterback isn't playing either. And it's not even close. Like, he's just dominating teams. And winning bettors a lot of money as well as they keep covering. But I'm actually going to go with one that is way more out of left field, and that is, I think, the Bucs offense. In a game, and the reason I'm calling this out is because no one's going to think about it because they piss the game down their leg. But in the first half of that game, and Romo oftentimes is all over the place, but he called this out in the game. They actually started doing some things in that game that made some sense on offense for the first time. They were running some play action. They were getting motion going. They didn't have Julio Jones in this game, but they were getting Godwin and Evans involved in a way that actually made sense. And this is something, a team that's going to be a home playoff game in all likelihood. Right now, they'd be playing the Cowboys. I can already see it. Tom Brady beating the Cowboys in round one, Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy crying. So they're my biggest riser because I am looking forward to betting them against the Cowboys at home in the playoffs. So that's my biggest riser. Brad, what about you?
Yeah, so I'm going to pivot to another Northern Florida team that's going to be hosting a playoff game with a losing record, and that is your Jacksonville Jaguars. 7.2 yards per play today. We're dominant in this game. Lawrence not 100% healthy against one of the best defenses in the NFL, led the entire league in yards per play today. Obviously, the defensive pick six ends it off, but no joke, I think they are going to maybe get this last seed, or not last seed. They're going to win the AFC South. They have the Jets on Thursday, one of the biggest Jets-Jaguars Thursday games. This was a meme of a game coming into the year. I now think I might be more excited for this game than any other game on the slate next week. Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence. But, yeah, I mean, all jokes aside, he continued to show on his recent winning streak, there have been some bad defenses in there, Chiefs, Ravens, a couple others. This is the Dallas Cowboys, and they balled out today. They are the best team in the state of Florida, the entire state of Florida, your Jacksonville Jaguars.
So you look at this, the quarterbacks drafted in that class, which is supposed to be a transcendent class. Trevor Lawrence goes number one. Then you have Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones. It seems that Trevor Lawrence would go number one again, no doubt about it. I think there's some debate. Probably Fields number two, which credit to the Justin Fields syndicate. But I think the better question is actually how good is Trevor Lawrence just across the entire league? So here's what I was thinking we would do. Like, let's say that you're redrafting the league, where obviously a young quarterback on a rookie contract matters quite a bit. Where are you guys taking Trevor Lawrence? Like, not necessarily like the exact spot, but like with which group of quarterbacks are you considering taking Trevor Lawrence? I'm going to go ahead and assume it's not, Mahomes and Allen, who are probably the top two on that list, but like how much further down does it go? Like, Brad, because you brought this up, where are you taking Trevor Lawrence?
On my list, if you include contracts, I go Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Herbert, or Herbert Burrow, whatever. Not trying to piss off Arjun on the side. Those two guys in some order, and then Trevor Lawrence. You still get a bunch of years of rookie contract value. I think he is showing you now that he is a difference-making, can win because of type of quarterback. You have the pairing with Doug Peterson and all that. I was joking before. I'm not. They're going to win the AFC South this year. And honestly, for the foreseeable future, they're going to keep winning this division over and over again. I mean, Houston maybe gets a quarterback, figures things out, but Tennessee trending in the exact opposite direction, an old and injured roster. And then obviously the Indianapolis Colts, who knows what they're going to do, maybe draft a quarterback this year as well. But yeah, I think he's a top 5 pick in a full league-wide redraft as of right now.
Ben, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any way that you can put him anywhere outside the top 5 right now, right? I do think like that it's probably like this like weird Jalen Hurts cutoff and like Justin Herbert. I do think Trevor Lawrence probably slots in. I would say maybe like a half a notch below like a Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow type tier or something like that. And I would say very clearly ahead of a guy like Jalen Hurts right now. I I don't think that's really. I don't think that's too far out there. And I mean, after this kind of stretch of play, like I think there's probably a case to be made for him actually, in some ways, elevating. The offensive unit around him more so than what even guys like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert have been doing, right? Obviously, we saw Justin Herbert without his, trio of wide receivers kind of in the fold. I do think that, with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and Josh Palmer and Gerald Everett, like they are probably a better overall receiving unit than what Trevor Lawrence has been dealing with this year. So my only concern with the Jaguars, I would say, kind of going forward is, the big free agency splashes that they kind of made this offseason are still very much like a mid-tier to slightly below mid-tier, I would say, receiving unit. And I think that's, a reason probably to have him very much in that conversation with Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert right now.
The only concern I have is the way that you pronounce Jaguars.
Jaguars?
Jaguars. It was funny because I was just having this conversation at dinner yesterday about the ways that people pronounce words. Like the word caramel came up, and like how people in like Florida pronounce it caramel. Anyways, not the tangent that you tuned in for. So, okay. I get the Trevor Lawrence love. I am a huge Trevor Lawrence fan. I bet on the Jaguars today. I have Trevor Lawrence in fantasy league. I'm very excited about it. But like, are you guys really ready to just? Neither of you even mentioned Lamar Jackson.
So real quick, I mean, Hurts and Jackson are getting paid this offseason. So when you bring in contract, it's it's 2 years.
You would rather have more confidence in Trevor Lawrence. Now, I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate here, and I'll tell you where I'd take him in a second. But Lamar Jackson won an MVP. Like, we've seen Lamar Jackson for multiple years continue to be a really, really good quarterback. So are you that confident that Lawrence is going to be that much better?
I mean, you talk about receivers. You're adding Calvin Ridley into the fold next year. That makes Christian Kirk better. It makes everyone else in the roster better. Yeah, I'm buying all the stock I can right now.
Christian Kirk, by the way, would be the best receiver on the Ravens that
by a mile
that Lamar has had. So since week 10, last 6 weeks, Trevor Lawrence is the only quarterback in the NFL with a 90+ PFF passing grade. Right behind him are Joe Burrow, Mahomes, and Allen. So he has been really, 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 really good. And I think you can make, like, I guess the question that I would have, if you're looking at the Jaguars, they've made some questionable decisions from a free agent standpoint. But if you're redrafting the league, like, you don't have to make those same decisions. So with Trevor Lawrence, I think the question is, like, which players on a rookie contract could you win a Super Bowl with? Because that person, that quarterback should be taken in the top 5. And if Trevor Lawrence answers, like, if you think the answer is yes, then you go with it. Not to be pessimistic here, but like, I need to see just a little bit more from him. Like, I think just a few games, that even as impressive as they've been, I mean, Geno Smith had a stretch of games that was that impressive, right? And obviously Geno Smith is no Trevor Lawrence from a tools perspective, but I don't think I'm ready to take Trevor Lawrence over Lamar Jackson. I'm taking him over Dak Prescott. I'm taking him over Jalen Hurts. The Jalen Hurts one is tricky. I'm not taking him over Herbert. I'm taking him over Tua, just to be extremely clear to anyone out there that watches Emmanuel Acho a bunch. So I think I'm kind of with you guys, with the exception of I'm going to take Lamar Jackson over him. Because, I mean, Lawrence is going to get, I mean, it's going to be a couple years. Lawrence is going to be paid probably, maybe he's the first guy to get $300 million guaranteed. Who knows? All right. Biggest faller, Ben.
I mean, this one's obvious, I would say. I know you try to hype up, the Buccaneers offensively and everything else, but like the NFC South in general is just complete laughing stock. I think it's probably, I said this earlier, but I think it's probably the worst division we've seen, that's going to have somebody in the playoffs in quite some time. It's kind of an embarrassment, I would say. I mean, even the Falcons, I would say, probably should have at least had a chance at the end to beat the New Orleans Saints. So It's ugly. I mean, people tried to buy into the Carolina Panthers this weekend. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers as like +3, was one of my favorite bets this weekend, and one of the easiest ones I've had that actually was able to cash this weekend. So when you're trying to pump up a team like the Carolina Panthers, who've already fired their coach this year, like it's a complete laughing stock as far as who's going to win this division. So I'm done with them. I was trying to, get off the Tampa Bay bandwagon last weekend, but there's no way that I would be, buying into the Buccaneers, I would say, at home against the Dallas Cowboys when we get to that wild card round, because it's not a spot that I'm interested in getting into. I might get hurt because of that, like I did last year, backing Philadelphia against Tampa Bay, but I think it's all said and done and written from the NFC South perspective.
It's okay. It's okay.
Can't do it.
Don't have to
We're
get
on
into
opposite
that.
sides of the spectrum. It's fine.
My faller is Zach Wilson, because I think that he's fallen out of a golden opportunity. He had this really nice kind of reason for why he's been so crappy. I played all these really tough defenses. Mike White gets to come in, doesn't have to play that same gauntlet of defenses. You come back, you play the Lions at home. And you lose the Lions at home, but you also you just continue to look like Zach Wilson has the entire time. And like, that's all you need to know, in my opinion. So I think that the biggest disappointment here is Zach Wilson. I don't know that Mike White gets a chance. He's fine, but he's not great. I think that, you're looking at Aaron Rodgers coming to New York and playing for the Jets next year. I don't know how they do it, but that's my take, and I'm sticking to it. So my biggest faller is, if he could fall any further, Zach Wilson. Brad, what about you?
Yep. So I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks, touching them a little bit earlier, but I got Geno Smith through week 8. He had our 4th highest passing grade, our 3rd best big time throw rate, and was very low in turnover worthy player rate. Since week 8, his 65.5 grade is 29th. His big time throw rate is 20th, and his turnover worthy play rate is top 10 now. So, look, there has been some offensive line issues. I tweeted this out. A bunch of people said that. Well, yeah, when you're starting 2 rookie tackles that might hit the rookie wall at the end of the season, that's going to happen. They're now playing the Chiefs this next week, so they might be out of the playoffs here very quickly. So, look, fun season, better than I expected. I thought they were going to be like a 4-win team. Was way off on that regard, but I think this slide is pretty real. I'm not saying I don't believe in Geno going forward, but they're trending in the wrong direction right now, and losing Tyler Lockett maybe for the rest of the season potentially is just so massive. I think Lockett and Metcalf have been so good this year. I don't think people appreciate, like, they've saved games for them, they've won games for them. Now only having Metcalf, I think they're gonna maybe lose the rest of their games on schedule.
Yeah, and they were profitable from a betting standpoint as well to kind of get things started, right? And that has fallen pretty far. So you look at the NFC now, and like that playoff picture is kind of interesting, because it's basically, as far as I read it now, so the Giants, I mean, what a massive win for them, right? Because of that tie and because of where the rest of the teams are going. Who else kind of has a chance, and who do you guys think kind of sneaks in?
The roar has been restored.
Yes,
the Lions are making the playoffs.
I mean, we have them basically at the exact same, percentage chance to make the playoffs as the Washington Commanders. Like, I think, given the strength of schedule, Washington, has the 4th most difficult schedule remaining. Detroit 29th. Like, Detroit's getting into the playoffs here. As much as the people don't want to hear it, as much as the haters want to say it's not going to happen, like, I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it feels like it, doesn't it?
I mean, it's the dream is real.
And so who, like, thinking about who might they play if they sneak in? Are they a live dog in the playoffs?
Would they be at Tampa? Or no, they'd be like a 7 seed.
I mean, they'll be in Minnesota. They'll probably play Minnesota at home, so Minnesota at home. Or it'll be San Francisco probably is what it's gonna.
Ben, how scared on a scale of 1 to 10? Be honest. How terrified are you of the Lions?
I'm like, I would literally. There's no way I would ever not back the Lions in a road playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings. Like, I'm gonna bet their money line. I'm gonna bet their spread. I'm gonna bet their alt number. Like, it's so bad. It's so bad, but it's. I would honestly. They are probably gonna
playoff game.
Right.
I mean,
there's. I mean, if you think about it though, like, what was I don't know why, but like, I mean, they were favored slightly at home last week, basically against the Vikings, right? So you're looking at like a 1.5 to 2.5 point spread for the Vikings in the opening round of the playoffs against the Detroit Lions. Like maybe it gets out to 3. But there's no way the market's going to do anything more than 3 given. And of course, I'm basing this off of like week 15 numbers and stuff like that. There's no way that the Vikings are going to be more than a 3-point favorite at home to the Detroit Lions in the opening round of the playoffs. So great. This is what we work so hard for, Minnesota Vikings fans. So
if it's more than 3, you're taking the Lions to the bank, right?
Oh, right.
So
For sure.
Essentially what we're saying is the pathway to a Lions playoff, not just the playoffs, but a Lions playoff win. Lions playoff, if they're playing the Vikings at home are losing to the Lions.
100%.
Like it's happening. Right. You can see that already.
All their miracle wins this season, they're just gonna get door stomped.
It's already been prophesied.
Like 40-17 at home.
You heard it there first.
No, I'm crying about it already on the inside, but I know it's. I mean, you know what's gonna happen, right? Like this is the whole song and dance with as being a Vikings fan is like this is how it ends. So it's fine. I'm just praying that the 49ers take over the 2nd seed and we don't have to play. Then we maybe get a team like the New York Giants who maybe are more susceptible to some of the mess upness that the Vikings can provide to them. Because if it's the Lions in the first round of the playoffs,
we'll playoff preview Giants at Vikings. We'll get into that later.
I'll be there live and in the flesh, basically. So take that into your handicapping abilities, right? So
what's your record? Welcome to the trend zone. What's the Vikings against the spread record when you're in the building?
So I haven't been. It's been a couple of years, to be honest with you, and I was tracking pretty well at first. But I think last time I went was a primetime game, which this one isn't, of course, and we got like the doors kicked off us. So I think I'm like 1-2 against the spread in my last 3 performances for the Minnesota Vikings. So
I just adjusted
I would
my
take
guess.
The Giants. That's all I'm going to say.
Adjusted my guess later based off of those.
Got to move it at least a full point, right?
Yes, sir.
Someone in the chat, Dave McClellan said, "Are the Vikings smart enough to tank for the Giants?" I mean, they now have they have coach and front office who might be smart enough to do that, but we're already on them, so we'll call them out if they happen to do that, right. Which would be, that would tell you how much the roar has been restored. Let's be extremely clear.
Right.
Also, what were the chances that 2 NFC North teams get in the playoffs and Packers are not one?
Bad division.
Right.
Yeah, no kidding. Ben Brown at PFF_Ben Brown. Follow him on Twitter. Some of the best content you will find. And if you're betting on the Bulls, a must follow as well. Ben, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will catch you later. All right. Before we get to guessing the lines, which is going to be fun this week, a little reminder for everybody: if you are in a state where you cannot bet legally on sports, go to BroThrow, BroThrow.com. It is essentially it's a place where you can bet on sports, and you just bet directly against other people. You don't have to pay a vig, which is great. So if you bet 10, you win 10, and you get paid really quickly. You can pay it on Venmo, Cash App, a couple of other places as well. BroThrow.com/PFF is how you can sign up today. They're still kind of rolling out the ability to to create your own account there. So you need to use that link, BroThrow.com/PFF, and go bet against other people that are going to pay you very quickly when you win. I've done it, and I can attest. It is a great experience. So go check it out, BroThrow.com. And if you're looking for a place to, 2023 could be a little tricky. So if you're looking to make sure your money continues to grow, you're trying to buy a house, maybe not right now, but in the future, go to westernsouthern.com/PFF, and they will help you put a game plan together so that your dreams can become a reality. Also, like, life happens while you're in a recession too. So if you're, having a kid, or you're looking for life insurance, whatever it is, Western Southern has your back. So go to westernsouthern.com/PFF. And last but not least, PFF, PFF.com, and the PFF app. Go get your PFF Plus subscription. Set yourself up for the best betting time of the year, which is you're trying to avoid making small talk with your family. the best way to do that is to bet on sports. And so you can make sure that you have all the best bets, whether it be from editorial content or the tools that we have, player props, best bets, the whole 9 yards. Go to pff.com, the PFF app, and get a PFF Plus subscription with promo code forecast. You get 25% off. All right, it's time to guess the lines. For that, we bring in our good friend, Arjun Menon. There he is.
There we go.
Arjun, every single week we come on here and we talk about another throw that is a social media throw from Justin Herbert. So I don't all I can say is it seems like Emmanuel Acho is correct. How are you doing, brother?
Doing good. Had a pretty good week betting this week. 3-1 in my guess the lines from last week, but even just on personal plays, player props, had a very profitable week. So excited to hop back into it.
Yeah, we need to update the records here. I see that Brad did it for himself. I guess Arjun, I'm behind here, but I can attest I did not lose a single bet from last week here. So I don't know what the actual record is.
I think you're 35-20 right now. I'm 30-25. I think you're 35-20 or something like that.
Yeah,
you're on a heater.
About right.
Yeah.
I'll take that. So last week, Brad, you were what? 5, 6,
6-1.
6-1. I'm 3-0 just on spread bets, but I gave out 5 teaser legs, and they all hit.
Yeah.
And Arjun, you are 3-1, and you joined me on the Miami Dolphins teaser leg and the Pittsburgh teaser leg as well. So, we have 2 losses total.
Good week.
Yeah. Okay.
For the holiday season.
None of the wins matter except for the ones that are coming this coming week. So we'll reset. Week 16, just to be clear, so that everyone knows, Saturday is when most of the games are being played. So Saturday is like your normal Sunday. Sunday is Christmas Day. There are 3 games. That's the reason those games stink. It's because they had to set them a long time ago, and everyone thought that Tampa Bay, Arizona was going to be a great game at the beginning of the season. So no one knew. We do have a Thursday night game and a Monday night game. So we start off with Jacksonville at the New York Football Jets. I'm assuming here that this is Zach Wilson. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah. Mike White broke ribs, so yeah.
Dear God, help us. Okay, Arjun, kick us off.
Yeah, I went Jags -1.
I had Jets -1.
Jets, wow. Okay, I have Jags a 3-point favorite in this game, which tells you how I feel about our good friend Zach Wilson. Let's take a look here. It is Jets -1. Okay, I'm way off there. I guess I'll start because we're going to kind of mix this up a little bit, and the person with the biggest spread difference is going to tell you whether you're going to bet or not. I feel like I have to bet this and take the Jags, and getting Trevor Lawrence against Zach Wilson feels like an absolute steal. So I will take the Jags getting 1 point. I also like this as a teaser leg, but it's +1, -115 on BetMGM. Let me see if FanDuel has something different. FanDuel has -1.5 actually. Jags -1.5. That's interesting. Big difference there. So I guess we'll take the BetMGM line because that's the one I'm gonna bet. Arjun, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I love the Jags in the spots, like you said, getting Trevor Lawrence pretty much as a pick 'em against Zach Wilson. Also, the fact that this is my kind of hypothesis for the lines this week. Like, you bet on elite offenses against elite defenses, and while I think the elite offense of the Lions was kind of slowed down and they won because of 2 very fluky plays, the Jaguars offense has been rolling since week 9. You kind of talked about it with Ben, how Trevor Lawrence has been the highest rated quarterback since week 9. The 2 coverages that the Jets love to run the most, cover 1 and cover 3. Trevor Lawrence averages like a 0.16 EPA versus cover 3 and like a 0.3 EPA versus cover 1. So everything the Jets like to run, the Jags, especially with Trevor Lawrence, counter very well. And I think they're just going to stick. What I would do, obviously you don't want to coach your bets, but just stick Marvin Jones on Sauce Gardner's side. So he's like the sacrificial lamb, and then you just throw to Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. But yeah, I love the Jags in this spot.
Yep, easy leg for me as well. I'm not sure if Quinn Williams goes in this game because the short week into a Thursday. Jags came out pretty unscathed. Cam Robinson questionable, but I think he'll be all right by Thursday. Yeah, I made it Jets -1 because I figured the Lions just beat the brakes off the Jaguars last week, and the Jets were still -1 in that game. So yeah, easier leg. I'll be betting it with something.
Buffalo at Chicago. Arjun.
I had Bills -10.
Same here.
I had Bills by 8.5, and it is Bills by 8 -114.
BetMGM has 9 and 9.5. Well, another discrepancy there.
Big discrepancy. Okay.
Interesting.
I don't know. Who do you think's sharper, FanDuel or BetMGM?
Either way, good opportunities for the people. You can tease on FanDuel if you like the Bills.
That's a good point. Okay, well, I'll let you guys. You guys have 10 and 10. So are either of you going to run to FanDuel and bet -8?
I mean, I don't.
I'll throw. It's a teaser leg.
Yeah, if I can tease it at 8, I'm not that. I think FanDuel's teasers are kind of you don't get 6 points at -120 or -110. But I mean, I can't bet this because the Jares burned me this week on a sick backdoor. So
yeah,
that's why you tease.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, even though I could grab the 9.5. I feel lucky having got the Bears win on the backdoor cover this week, and I'm not gonna try it again. So I'm gonna lay off this one. But I do think it moves closer to 8.5, and when it does, I do like the Bills as a teaser. Brad, any play here?
Yeah, no, at 8 I'll tease it, but if with our 9.5, I'll just leave it alone. But I mean, the Bears came into this game super injured. Tevin Jenkins, their best offensive lineman, is not going to play next week. Got a pretty nasty concussion. They have no Claypool, no Mooney today. They're a broken football team. So I think the Bills are going to roll on this one.
Saints and Browns. By the way, I had the Saints -4.5 today, and for anyone who had that as well, I pray for you because that was absolute garbage. The referees today were on one. They deserve that cover. Anyways, they play the Browns. Arjun?
I went Browns -3.5.
Same here.
I had the Browns -3. It is on FanDuel -3, -115. So basically everyone is right here. Anyone have a play? I'm going to guess no.
I'm actually, I'm riding with the Browns again. Watson's stat line wasn't incredible. Cosby was average if you look at the box score, but he actually looked pretty good on the field. And the Saints, yes, you are right. Me winning Atlanta was laughable. I was sitting there laughing as it covered, especially late in the game when the Saints could have kicked the field goal late and they fumbled the snap on whatever it was. But yeah, Ritter was a privilege. He was not very good. And they still managed to kind of backdoor there. So yeah, I'm rolling with Cleveland again.
What do you think the total is on this game? And if you guys haven't looked, you can guess.
41.5.
So you might want to check the weather because it's 34.5 on FanDuel.
Oh, okay. Ooh. I like it even more though. I like the Browns running game a little bit. I mean, Saints have a good run.
As long as Cosby's not making any passes, you're in good shape.
That's exactly right.
You're welcome. I was tired going into this podcast, but new life has been breathed into me. Houston, Tennessee. Arjun, are you betting that game? Sorry.
No.
Okay, good. Houston, Tennessee. The patented Thursday night game that we love every single week, every single year. Arjun, what do you have?
I went Titans -7.
I did -6.5.
I have the Titans -9.5. It is -7. I'm the furthest off here. I'm not gonna bet this one. Really because of Tannehill's injury. But I do like this as a teaser leg, I think. Tennessee still got a chance, even though Jacksonville looks really good. And they're there's this, Derrick Henry running for like 3,000 yards in this game. Houston off of a spunky, try against Kansas City. I'll make this a teaser. What about you guys? Any play for you?
Derrick Henry overs because he runs for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns in every matchup.
His 5th straight with 200. Yeah, I'm teasing him as well. I don't think Tennessee's good. I went under a touchdown for a reason, but they'll win this game. So I'm teasing them with officially them and the Jags on the board.
Seattle, Kansas City in Kansas City. Arjun.
I went Chiefs -9.
Yeah, I Chiefs -8.5.
Okay. I'm closer than both of you. I had Chiefs by 10.5, and it is Chiefs by 10 on FanDuel right now. So I'll start with you, Brad, since I think you were furthest off.
I was furthest off, but definitely not playing the Seahawks. I think the Lockett loss is going to be massive. I think they're going to struggle with the football, and then their defense is just not good. I'm staying away from Kansas City here. They have not covered a bunch recently, but yeah, it's even though I was off in favor of Seattle, I'm not taking them.
Arjun?
Yeah, staying away. Same reasons as Brad.
Likewise. Giants, Vikings, the preview of a potential playoff matchup. Arjun, would you make this?
I went Vikings -4.
Oh, wow. I had Vikings -6.5.
Jesus. Okay. I had Vikings by 3.5, and that is what it is. So Brad, congrats.
So here's why I did that, and it says a ton, and I knew I was going to find out either way. So that means that they're saying they think Minnesota is worse fundamentally than Washington Commanders because they were just -4.5 at home against the Giants, and now they're -3.5 at Minnesota. With Minnesota has an extra day of rest. That's what's happening. So, I mean, I think I have to, right, by a full field goal. I don't like the Vikings, but yeah, I'll take them -3.5.
I guess that is what it's saying. Although, clearly that spread was wrong.
For sure. I mean, you nailed it last week, and that was a good call, by the way. And it was all day. It was an easy bet. But yeah, I think I just have to. I did it on purpose. I set a trap for myself, and I walked right into it. So,
yeah. Okay. Arjun, you do anything with this?
Yeah, I'm laying off.
Same. Although, if I had to bet one side of this, I kind of like the Giants again, but I'm not going to tempt fate. By the way, Brian Dable, I can't. He took Bill Belichick. Kind of looks like a homeless person in most of the games he coaches. Brian Dable looked like he was dressing up for Halloween tonight. It was absolutely incredible. Cincinnati in New England. We're on to New England. Arjun?
I went Bengals -5.
I had Patriots +4.
I had Patriots. So originally I had this 5.5. And then after New England had what is the worst way to lose a game in human history, I gave them an extra point back because of what Bill Belichick is going to do to them this week. I'm seeing 3.5 -105. I think 4 at BetMGM.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went 4.5, by the way, for the Patriots. I guess you're furthest off, Arjun. You making a play here?
Yeah, I've been betting the Bengals at the right time, pretty much all season. And I posed this question to you guys last week about the Bucks, and I'm going to do the same for the Bengals. What are the Bucks or what are the Patriots good at this year? And it's their offense is terrible. Mac Jones couldn't do anything against one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. The Patriots secondary lacks top end talent, and now they have to face Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, to, in my opinion, the best wide receiver duo in all of football.
Whoa!
And I think they're the best. Yeah, I think they're the best. T. Higgins is
Waddle
awesome.
Hill. Yeah.
Judon and Uche, who have been having tremendous years, go against a pretty solid tackle duo in Jonah Williams and Lyle Collins, who've I think had up and down seasons, but for the most part, the Bengals pass blocking unit has got progressively better over time. I don't see any advantage for the Patriots in this game, and I think the Bengals are a great football team this year, and I think this is a great spot to back them.
I could not agree more. Again, with this one, just like the last game, I was like, okay, the Bucks were plus 3.5. The Patriots, I think, are a similar football team, so I put it at 4. And I agree for the exact same rationale. Plus, Trey Hendrickson did not play in today's game. Mike Hilton did not play in today's game. Both guys were close. They were not game time decisions really, but like they could have maybe played. So you can maybe get both of those guys back for this next game. I'm tailing again on the Bengals.
It's if the Pats just had won that game or lost it in a normal way, 100% on this. But man, that is going to be a rough week for them. Also, the Bengals kind of won and covered in a sort of fluky way, but we win and we lose as a team. So I'm joining you guys. Bengals, let's ride. Detroit in Carolina. Arjun.
I went Lions -4.
I had Carolina plus 2.5.
Okay. I told Dave Solfaro I'd show the Lions the respect they deserve. So I made the Detroit Lions a 4-point favorite on the road against a bad football team, but whatever. It is 3. Arjun and I both have it at 4. Arjun, I'm rolling with the Lions. You joining me?
Yeah, gotta roll with the Lions here. I think there's a good chance it lands on 3, but this Panthers defense I thought was really good coming into this week, and they kind of had like a weird defense performance against the Steelers. At one point, the Steelers had a 21-play, 91-yard drive that spanned 12 minutes to open up the second half, which is just absolutely incredible. But I think honestly, like the Lions defense, while I think still lacks like top end talent, has been playing better in recent weeks. They can stop the run now, and Chuba Hubbard and Deontay Foreman, like that's what the Panthers kind of like to do. And yeah, the Lions are rolling, and I think this is a good bounce back spot for them on offense.
Yep, I agree with all those points. I'm gonna stay away just because I've been riding the Lions. And I don't want to jinx myself, but I agree with everything you just said.
Okay, we now go to Falcons Ravens. So is Lamar back for this?
I think he will be. I'm not going to guarantee it. It was an ankle. They always mess around with ankles and try to say they'll be fine, but I think he plays in this game, and my guess is with him playing.
Yeah, that's what I had as well. Arjun, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, with him playing, I went Ravens -7.
Same here.
Likewise, and that is what it is. Any bets for anybody?
No.
Nope.
Thoughts on Ritter today?
He was bad. He was real bad. Yeah, no, he really was.
The fact that they covered with that Ritter performance was astounding.
Tyler Algier had a day for the ages. No, it really was a bizarre.
Tyler Algier, by the way, Brad, he was a guy they had to trade up in the second round to pick.
Traded up to early second. But Rashid Shaheed though, shout out Rashid Shaheed and the Saints, who I think has 12 touches on the year and 7 of them are touchdowns. The guy just all he does is score.
Yeah, incredible. All right, we move on to Washington in San Francisco to play the 49ers. Arjun.
I went 49ers -8.
I went -7.5.
I swear to God, I'm not a homer. I have them by 12.5 in this game. I don't know what this might have been where I fell asleep during the 4 p.m. games. It is not that. I see 7.5 -106 on FanDuel, -7 on BetMGM. I guess I have to out of principle. Why did I make it 12.5? The Washington football team, their strength is their defensive line, but I am very concerned about what Taylor Heineke is going to look like in San Francisco against this defense. I think it is going to be a complete nightmare. And I think that the market values Heineke a lot more than his PFF numbers would. Over 5% of his throws are turnover worthy, and that's a recipe for absolute disaster. So that's why I made it so big. In hindsight, I think that's a little rich, probably something more like 9.5, 10, but I will bet San Francisco here. Arjun, what about you?
Yeah, I honestly I could see myself taking the -7 here. I think the better play is a teaser leg, just teasing them down to 1, just picking them to win because I don't really see how they lose. I think that's what I'm going to do here. And like you said, they have a lot of matchup advantages on both sides of the ball.
George, redraft NFL. Taylor Heineke, Brock Purdy. Who you taking earlier in the draft?
Brock Purdy, man. It's not even close.
I'll stay off it, not jinx you guys, but I agree with everything you said. The matchup in particular, I agree. Like the defensive interior for Washington, I think will be handled to a degree. That interior in San Francisco has been playing some very good football of late. One concern: Charvarius Ward concussion. I don't know if he plays. So maybe you get some scary Terry. But like you said, I mean, Eric Armstead and Bosa are going to be in his lap the whole game anyway. So
the whole game. I mean, anyone that watched the game tonight, the big takeaway was actually the Giants kind of handled the Washington defensive line, and the New York Giants got to Heineke. And Thibodeau looked really good. So if Thibodeau looked really good, Nick Bosa is going to look amazing. Philly, Dallas, the game of the week by a pretty sizable margin. I went back and forth on this one, so I'm really curious what you guys ended up with, Arjun.
I went Eagles pick 'em. Or just to pick 'em. I'm not saying, I don't know why I said Eagles pick 'em. Just pick 'em.
I almost, so George, funny you mentioned that because I almost changed this, but I just left it. Dallas -1.5 in this game.
Okay, you nailed it. It is on FanDuel, Dallas -1.5. I went pick 'em as well. I just felt that was the right move. So I love the Philly teaser leg out to 7.5. That's one of my favorite teaser legs. Now, Hurts looked awful today from a passing perspective, but it wasn't. He's been good enough this year. I don't think that's a sign of things to come. And I also love the Philly kind of matchup mentality advantage versus McCarthy and the Cowboys. So yeah. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great teaser. I'm taking Philly straight up. I think they're the better team in this matchup. The one issue I have with the Cowboys is I think their run defense has not been exposed yet because they're always usually playing with a lead. And I think Philly, if they want to, if Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen sit together and watch the film and speak with the analytics team and say hey, we can run down Dallas's throat if we want to, and not kind of fall into this force Hurts to be this passer, which I think he's been a great passer for most of the year. But I think if they lean into his rushing strength and the strength of the rushing game overall against the Cowboys, I think they'll have a lot of success. And then on the other side of the ball, the Cowboys, to me, have CeeDee Lamb, and then it's who else on offense. And I think you can take away CeeDee Lamb with Avonte Maddox and shadowing from a safety, or if he lines up outside, you just stick Darius Slay or James Bradbury on him. I don't really trust any of the Cowboys secondary receivers. Michael Gallup got a pretty good deal this offseason, hasn't really produced. I think he has 300 yards. Noah Brown isn't really a wide receiver too. And I think the Philly run defense didn't have that great of a performance today, but against Justin Fields, who actually has a good performance on the ground. And I think, getting some guys back like Jordan Davis will help them in this matchup. So I'm taking the Eagles straight up, but I also love them as a teaser leg.
Yep. I'm teasing them with San Fran. So these last two. One thing you didn't mention too, I think they'll probably put Trevon Diggs and A.J. Brown. We'll see how that goes. But the injuries to Dallas, I honestly think Deron Bland, the rookie, the 6th rounder, is good in the slot. I think he's going to be fine. But Devontae Smith against Kelvin Joseph, who is a early 2nd-round pick, a talented player. But you mentioned the coaching mismatch with Sirianni versus McCarthy. I think they're going to put him in a blender, just scheme some things up to really just pick at the weaknesses that Dallas has in their secondary. And then if any offensive line can hold up against this Cowboys pass rush, it's the Eagles. So I think it is a good matchup for them. I'm afraid to bet it straight up, but as a teaser leg, I love it.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I don't know. I think that I'm curious where this line will move, actually, during the week. We'll see. That'd be interesting. All right, we go to one more Saturday game. Sorry, this is Saturday night. I believe. Is there actually a Saturday night game?
I think so.
Yes, there is a Saturday night game, but it is on NFL Network, not on NBC. That's on Christmas Day. Las Vegas, Pittsburgh, in Pittsburgh. Arjun?
I had this as a pick 'em.
I had Steelers -2.5.
Okay. I had Steelers by 1.5. It is Steelers by 1.5 -114 on FanDuel.
I think I'm teasing the Raiders out to 8.5, if I can, or 7.5. I don't, whatever the number is.
Mhm.
Look, the Steelers are not beating anyone by more than one score. They don't have the offense for it, and the Raiders, I think, by all accounts, with Waller and Renfro back, should keep this at a one-score game. I legitimately, I mean, I wasn't really watching the Raiders Patriots game until the end because the Chargers were playing, and also because I was watching Bengals Bucks on the side. From what I was just box score watching, they were up 17-3 at half, and then just proceeded to score no points for the remainder of the second half until 34 seconds left. I don't know what goes on in Las Vegas or what the Raiders do in the second half of games, but I don't see the Steelers really blowing them out by more than one score, and I think teasing them is the best option. But I also like them straight up, but I think teasing them is better here.
Yeah, I want to agree. I just think there's a couple of mismatches that scare me a little bit. I think the Raiders could definitely win this game. But yeah, teaser if anything. But I'll just stay away here.
Yeah, I'm on that. I'm on that teaser leg as well. A bit. Green Bay and Miami. This one starts off the Sunday slate in Miami. Obviously, Green Bay still has to play tomorrow against the Rams. Arjun, would you make this?
Wait, all those games were Saturday that we just did?
Yep.
Yeah. Saturday is basically the Sunday.
Okay. I did not know that. I went with Dolphins -5.
I had Dolphins -3.5.
This is another one I'm way off. I have Dolphins by 7. It is Dolphins by 4.5, not 7. Yeah, I'm going to take the Dolphins. My reasoning for this is pretty simple. I think that the Green Bay Packers are a team that kind of keeps up with the Joneses when the team is average, but they're going to have a really hard time staying within a score against one of the better teams in the NFL. And the Dolphins, I think, even though they lost the game against the Bills, really showed some things offensively. Their run game was phenomenal. That's one of the things that I expect Mike McDaniel to do. Who owned the Green Bay Packers? Who continues to own the Green Bay Packers? The San Francisco 49ers. And Mike McDaniel, a student of Kyle Shanahan, is going to bring that here. Look, the Packers, I think, are a team that on paper should do well against the Dolphins, but I think in actuality are going to struggle a little bit. So I will take the Dolphins -4.5 here. Arjun, what about you?
Yeah, I'm riding with you, George. I'm kind of mad that I didn't make it Dolphins -6 or something. And I think I just completely forgot to update it or something. But the Packers, Marcus Mosher, who's a writer for PFF, does a lot of great work on the website. He has a table he puts out every week. He calls it big plays. So 10+ yards rush and 20+ yards pass. And I looked at it for defenses. The Packers have allowed the 5th most big plays. They've allowed their top 10 in big passing plays allowed. And like you said, Mike McDaniel with the 49ers has kind of owned Green Bay in his tenure. And the one thing about the Dolphins offense is they're so explosive, and I don't really see how the Packers are going to be able to stop them. And the one weakness of the Dolphins, in general, is their defense, more specifically their secondary. And it is Allen Lazard, Christian Watson, and Randall Cobb, the receiver core, to take advantage of that trio of that secondary. I think not. So I am riding with you on the Dolphins right here.
Yep, I'll make it a social and just add too. The other weakness of Miami is the offensive line. The Packers, since they lost Rashawn Gary, just have not got after the quarterback. So we'll make it a social.
It's us three and Emmanuel Acho. What a dynamic quartet that's going to be. Wow, this game sucks. Denver and Los Angeles, the Rams in Los Angeles. Of course, the Rams play the Packers tomorrow still. Is this going to be Russ back, Brad?
I think so. But honestly,
he looked fine at the poker table. So
He did. He looked like he was winning some hands, unlike on the football field. Actually, he got 21. It's the first time he got 21 all year.
He went to play blackjack just so he could get over 18.
Just so we could feel it, just so we could taste it. Yeah. So I think he probably is eligible to play, but who knows? Hey, I'm happy they won today though for my Bears draft pick. So good job, Broncos.
Good work. All right, we'll assume Russ plays in this game, which I don't know if it really matters. Arjun, would you make it?
I went Broncos +1.
I had Rams -1. Yeah.
Yeah, I had Rams -1.5. It is Rams +1 -115.
Oh boy, did we just talk ourselves into all betting on the Broncos?
No, I refuse. I'm not betting on the Broncos. There's no way.
Dude, 1-0 in their last one.
I see
think the Rams should be favored, so no. But
wait, George,
no,
what line did you give out?
It's Rams +1 -115.
Okay, yeah.
I will tease. I'll tease the total on this game is 35.5. So I mean, look, the Broncos defense is fantastic. But I'll tease the Rams. The Rams have no reason to tank here.
Yeah, the winner of this game is the loser, for sure. Baker Mayfield over interceptions prop is kind of juicy against this Broncos defense, honestly.
The Lions are the loser if the Rams win this game.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. Tampa Bay and Arizona. This is the Sunday night game on Christmas evening. I don't know about Colt McCoy, but I will say this: if it is Trace McSorley, my God, that was heinous. The Cardinals should have probably won that game with Colt McCoy, and Trace McSorley, I want to say, was 2 for 8 with like 2 interceptions, and they still almost covered against the Broncos. Arjun, would you make this?
I went Bucks -4.
So we also don't know if McSorley, he got injured too. So I made it Cardinals +4.5, but I then put QB question mark next to that. So
I went Bucks by 7, and I think it could have made it 7.5. To be perfectly honest with you, yeah,
You're being bold.
What am I missing here? The Cardinals are a complete dumpster fire.
And the Bucks did look okay. Your point earlier is solid. They actually outgained the Bengals in yards per play. Obviously, it was kind of fluky with the turnovers on 4 straight possessions, but 7.5 for this Bucks team is a decent chunk.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, if McCoy is hurt and it is McSorley, then this is a joke. But if it is McCoy, like, it's Colt freaking McCoy. I don't know. And I do think the Bucks started to figure it out. And I'll say this: I think that the Arizona Cardinals defense does not have a defensive backfield that you are extremely excited about. Godwin, Evans, with Brady, with Tristan Wirfs back. I mean, the Cardinals are horrible. Like, they are terrible. So, wouldn't surprise me if Cliff is gone soon. Looks like Steve Keim is out. So give me Brady.
I'm riding with you. Carlton Davis also had a great game when it was still a game early, and it got kind of weird, but he was great. Maybe you get Jamel Dean back as well. Yeah, I'm riding with you on the Bucks.
I'm out.
Okay. I've had some kind of bet on like most of the games, so may God have mercy on me. This is like the week, was it like 3-4 weeks ago, where I placed 8.
Holiday George is just firing off bets.
I know, right? Wearing my Grinch hoodie over here. Chargers Colts in Indianapolis. I just can't wait to see the Colts rebound from blowing a 33-point lead to Kirk Cousins. Arjun, would you make this? Your Chargers, Monday night, Monday after Christmas. Yeah. What a gift.
Went Chargers -3.
Same here.
Likewise, and that is what it is. Any bets from anybody here?
I'm not gonna bet. I will, give out some good data info to the people. Justin Herbert this year has been really bad against cover 3. Seth Galina also, I believe, did a piece on this on the website, or at least talked about it on Twitter or on another forecast at some point. Typically, the Saints New Orleans, Sean Payton's system has struggled versus cover 3. Gus Bradley, all he wants to do is sit in single high and run cover 3. Herbert has a negative 0.2 EPA per play versus cover 3 this year. For whatever reason, he's struggled, and DeForest Buckner is probably going to have like a Jeffrey Simmons type game. I don't have a side. I just think there's a lot of bad things that go against the Chargers offense.
Total is 47.5. It's actually
It's pretty high.
The second, third highest total of the week. I think there are more totals under 40 than there are over 45, which tells you something. But under 47.5, I think is interesting. And Brad, like the biggest lock of the entire week was what Brad called out last Sunday night, which was Jags Cowboys over at that time 45.5. It moved out to 47.5. We still made it our lock of the week, and it hit in the third quarter. So I was going to ask Brad, like, where's our total for this week? Maybe this is it.
I agree with you. I like the under here a ton. I mean, I think you're going to see similar things that Tennessee did. Indy's going to do the same stuff. Stunts up front, complicate things for the interior of the Chargers. They have good corners that can, hold this Chargers wide receiver trio. So, yeah, I don't hate that at all. But I will say, too, I think there was an overcorrection on overs. Like, I think it was so bad to start the year that I think there are some spots. Not here, of course. I do agree with you on the under. But just, like, keep an eye out on the board. Like you mentioned, there's so many games. Not those low ones, but – like games that should be 49.5, 50 are now in the 46, 47 range. And I think it's still, there's room for profit the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Packers Dolphins 46.5 is one that sticks out. Our model likes it. By the way, you can see what our model likes on the PFF app and PFF.com with the PFF Plus subscriptions. Go get it. That was our podcast. Sunday night. Next Sunday night will be Christmas night. I didn't even think about that, but that's going to be a real joy. I can't wait to spend Christmas night with you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. Members of the printing press who hung out with us live, we love you. Thanks for hanging out. We will see you on Wednesday evening. Peace.